Testing. Alright, moving on. Hazard material incident response curriculum guidelines, awareness level of personnel. Our introduction, awareness level of personnel should be trained with the meet with all the competency with the awareness level of the addition with the awareness level to show the receiver the training with the meet the requirement the Occupational Safety Health Administration, local occupational health and safety regulatory agencies, Environmental Protection Agency, and as appropriate with their jurisdiction, member of the organization responsible can be expected to respond with the hazard material incident must know with the requirements of OSHA 1910-120 with the EP Environmental Protection Agency 311, the training employee. Training emergency response plan. Definition: awareness level of the personnel of the personnel who are likely to witness, discover the hazard material weapons of mass destruction and emergency. They incorporate their normal duties. They may be the first person seen with the emergency involved with the hazard material. The awareness level of the personnel are expected to recognize the hazard material and are present to protect themselves, the health during personnel to secure the area. The most important duty of these personnel is to make the proper notification to begin with the emergency response sequence. First responders role with the level that should involve the potential for the exposure of the hazard related to the incident. Training audience. All awareness level may be employed with the public and private sector organizations for the fire and emergency medical level service to the law enforcement, emergency management, public works, public health, utilities, transportation, as well as voluntary agency, manufacturer, government, security services for the contractor. Methodology of the recommendation. Training with the method of the giving you the combination of lecture method on media representation involved in individual small group extra with an interval of 30 to 45 minutes score for the range of 14 to 16 hours in length. Exercise consider the activity practice with identification, recognition of the hazard material with the scenarios description can be used in the information source of the North American Emergency Response Guidebook to establish the presence of the hazard material described in the scenarios. Refresher training should focus on renewing the skill of the employees using the information source of the right now identified hazard material. Target training with a specific occupational group, the personal training awareness of the diverse group that they include with the police, fire, the emergency and the medical service, the public work and emergency management and transportation personnel. Although the minimal competency for all personnel remain the same with whenever the possible training should be detailed with the need of the specific group of the training specific discipline with the professional should be asked to respond with the scenario of the relevance of their work should be played with the role of the consistent with their occupational responsibility. Training managers should recruit their training and variety of occupation training materials show that depict the awareness of the multiple situation must change. Major change of the curriculum should not be necessary in most cases. The instructor must have sense of the audience and need the use of the realistic scenario. Summary of the training requirements. Audience. The broader, although they might encounter the hazard material weapons of mass destruction incident. Prerequisites: refresher training. No length required 4 to 16 hours. The common practice traditional classroom assignment or format. E-learning may be appropriate to some of the audience. Is competent with the detective of the presence of the hazard material, identify with the hazard material present, collect with the hazard information, initiate with the notification process. Refresher. Annually, refresher skills, the detection into notification instruction for the new of the emergency, have with the refresh for the notification instruction, notification protocol changes. Federal requirements of awareness training. OSHA established the following training requirements is awareness level of the OSHA of the 29 CFR 1910-120Q6 on awareness level of the individuals who likely witness if discover the hazardous substance relief that have them trained with the initiative of the emergency response sequence, notifying the authorities of the release. Awareness level should be the sufficient training, have the sufficient experience with the objective to demonstrate with the competency of the following areas, understand with the hazardous substance and the risk associated with them in an incident, understanding the potential outcomes associated with the emergency created with the hazardous substance present, the ability to recognize the present hazardous substance in an emergency, the ability to identify the hazardous substance as possible, understanding the role of the first awareness of an individual. The emergency response plan with including the security control of the U.S. Department of Transportation Emergency Response Guidebook, the employee ability to rely on the additional resources to make with the appropriate notifications communication center. Required training objective of OSHA aware number A to define with the different type of the hazardous substance, identify the risk associated with the incident. OSHA aware B to given the simulated incident with involving the hazard material and identify the potential outcomes. OSHA aware C that given the data that available during the incident response to demonstrate the recognition present of the hazardous substance. OSHA aware D given the data available during the incident response identify the hazardous substance present. OSHA awareness E that define the role of first responder awareness of individual employers emergency response plan, including the site security, the control of the emergency response plan guidebook. OSHA aware number 5 to give the simulated incident to determine the need for the add additional resources to make with the appropriate notification for the communication center. Recommended training objective: the following training objective the recommended awareness training of the primary source of the material of the National Fire Protection Association 472 Chapter 4 competency with awareness level of the personnel of the training objective as known with the rationale from the inclusion found with the special topic section at the end of the response guidelines. And show the objective identification and legend of the aware and the identification of the objective of these and guidelines, the origin, the indicate the origin and objective of usually National Fire Protection Association 472 and 473, and then supports OSHA aware and indicate that the OSHA required objective to support the aware and analyze the instance. Aware 1-1, original National Fire Protection Association 421 supports OSHA awareness ABCD. The detection president has material given an example of various situation awareness level of personnel. So identify the situation has material weapons of mass destruction awareness 111, National Fire Protection Association 4121. Supports OSHA aware number A. The identify the definition has material dangerous greater than Canada weapons of mass destruction awareness number 112. National Fire Protection Association 41212 supports OSHA aware number A and E. The identify the UN dot has the classified division has material identified common experts example of material each for the class division awareness 113. The original National Fire Protection Association 4213 with the OSHA awareness B and E. Identify the primary head of the associated UN dot has the classified division has material the hazard class of awareness 1114, the National Fire Protection Association 4214, the OSHA awareness A and B to identify the difference between the hazard material, weapon of mass destruction incident, and other incidents. Awareness number 115, the National Fire Origin National Fire Protection Association 4121, 5 support OSHA awareness C and D to identify the typical occupancy location and community with a hazard weapon of mass destruction manufactured, transported, secured, stored, or either disposed of. The awareness number 116, the National Fire Protection 4216, those show with awareness C and D to identify the typical nature, that shape of the incident that indicated the hazard material weapon of mass destruction awareness of the 117, the National Fire Protection Association 4217, the OSHA awareness C, D, and E to identify the typical identify facility transportation marking colors that indicate the hazard material weapons of mass destruction include UNNA to identify the national number of the National Fire Protection Association 704 markings, military hazard material weapons of mass destruction markings, special hazard communication markings, pipeline markings, stand markings, awareness 1118, National Fire Protection 4218, OSHA with aware D, the given the National Fire Protection Association 704 marking describe the significant colors and number of specific symbols, awareness 114, National Fire Protection Association 412 OSHA awareness D and E to identify U.S. Canadian placards labeled that indicate the hazard of material weapons of mass destruction, awareness 1110 identify the basic and safety material safety and safety dash shipping to identify the hazard material they're able to do the following. That is awareness B, and then awareness B they would identify the safety dash sheets, identify the major section of the safety dash sheets, and identify the entry of the safety dash sheet that indicated the presence of the hazard material. Massive name of the shipping paper the found the transportation, air, highway, rail, water with the mode of the transportation awareness 1110E with the National Fire Protection Association 4121 OSHA awareness B, identify the person responsible for the having the shipping paper to each of the mode of the transportation. 1110 F the awareness number to B, but identify the shipping paper the found with each of the mode of transportation. 1110 G OSHA awareness number to B, but identify the shipping paper the found with each of the mode of the transportation. Awareness 1111 the National Fire awareness number of the C and E. Identify examples of the clue of the other occupants in the location containing ship the marking colors of the black cards labeled material safety dash shipping paper the U the sense of the safe sound of the order to indicate the hazard material weapon mass destruction. 1112 awareness number 2 describe limitation even the same to determine the presence of the absent hazard material weapon mass destruction. Awareness number 1113 awareness number level 3 C with the identified at least with the floor type of the location of the become target of the criminal and terrorist activity with the hazard weapon mass destruction. 1114 awareness level 3 they describe the difference for the chemical biological incident. 1115 awareness number the aware level 3 OSHA aware awareness level 3 identify forward indicators possible criminal and terrorist activities involved with the chemical agencies. 1116 awareness level C identify the police for indicate the possible criminal terrorist activity involved with the biological agents. Awareness level 1117 National Fire Protection Association 412117 identify the police for indicate the possible criminal terrorist activity involved with the radiological agent. Awareness level 1118 identify for location and indicator have the associated with illicit laboratories, clandestine laboratories, weapon labs, and recent labs. Awareness level 12 the OSHA aware D and E gives a survey of the hazard material into the safe location. Give example of the facility of the transportation situation involving hazard material that identify the hazard material each of the situation by name of the UNNA and identification number and the type of the black card applied. 113 the awareness level A, B, and E that is collected the hazard information identify the various hazard material weapons of mass destruction UNN8 and identification number the type of the black card awareness level of the personnel with the trail identify the fire explosion health of the hazard and information for each of the material of the current edition of the emergency response guide with the equivalent document show me the following requirements. 1131 awareness level A, B, and E identify the three methods determining the guide page for the hazard material weapons of mass destruction. Awareness level 132 there's awareness level A, B, and E identify the two general type of the hazard found with each of the guide page. Implementing plan response awareness level aware 2-1 awareness level A, B, C, and E, and F. Initiate protective action. Give the example that has material weapon of mass destruction emergency response plan standard operation procedure current edition for the emergency response guide with equivalent documentation awareness level that should be able to identify the actions to be taken to protect themselves, others, and control the section of the control the access to the scene. Awareness 211 OSHA awareness E. They identify the location of the emergency response local emergency response plan standard operation procedure 212 OSHA awareness A and F. They identify the roles of awareness level during hazard material weapon mass destruction awareness number 213 with the OSHA with aware number the E. They identify the following basic precautions taken to protect themselves and the other hazard material weapon mass destruction. 213A with the OSHA awareness E and F with the identify the precaution necessary for the providing emergency medical care of the victim with hazmat material weapon mass destruction instance. Identify the 213B with the awareness level E with identify the ignition over the round with the scenario where the hazmat material weapon mass destruction awareness. 213C OSHA awareness A and B with identify the ways for the hazmat material weapon mass destruction harm to the people, the environmental property with the hazmat material weapon mass destruction incident. Awareness 213D with the OSHA awareness number the E with the identify the general route of the interior of the human exposure for the hazmat material weapon mass destruction. 214 OSHA awareness E level the E with the identify the given and identify the various have the weapon mass destruction identification number, the type of flight card, identify the following response information. Emergency action, fire spill, leak, first aid, with the personal protective equipment necessary, initial isolation, protective action distance. 215, the awareness level E. They give it the name of the hazard material, identify the recommended personnel, protective equipment, the following live with the street clothing, work uniform with the annual structural fighting with the protective clothing, personnel pressure, self-contained breathing apparatus, chemical protective clothing, equipment. Awareness number 216, the OSHA aware A and E with the definition E with the following protective action, isolation of hazard area with the denial, entry with the evacuation, shelter in place action, protection. Awareness 217, the OSHA awareness A and E with the identify the size and shape of the recommended initial isolation protective action zones. 218, awareness level B, C, and E, describe the difference between small and large bills found on the table of the initial isolation protective action distance of the emergency response guidebook equivalent documentation. 219, awareness level of B and C and E, identify the circumstance with the following distance for the U that has material weapon mass destruction table of the initial isolation protective action distance. Isolation distances with the number of guides awareness number 2110 with the OSHA awareness B and C and E. Describe the difference between isolation difference of the orange board with the guide page for the protective action distance for the green board at emergency response guidebook pages. Awareness number 2111 of the OSHA awareness BC and E. Describe the difference of the isolation difference in the orange border with the guideline pages, protective action distributed distance of the green bordered emergency response guide pages. Awareness 2B112 of the OSHA awareness E. Identify the technique you isolated the hazard data entry with the unauthorized person over the hazard material weapons of mass destruction. 2113 identify at least 4 specific actions necessary with the incident suspect with involved with criminal terrorist activities. Awareness number 22 with the OSHA awareness E and F. The initiating the notification process given the scenario involved with the hazard material weapons of mass destruction awareness level of the personnel shall identify the notification to be made with how to make them consistent with the emergency response plan standard operation procedures. Are your hazard material incident response curriculum guidelines core competency with the operational levels and responders?